Welcome to the DJ Ritchie Show.
Well, hello, brothers and sisters. It is your ever-loving leader. Got preempted again tonight. That's okay. I'm working on a plan to fight against that. Not that fighting against it means that I won't be preempted by sports things, because I always will. And it's something I got to get used to. You know, I'm used to being treated, at a radio station and all, and being the star of the radio station, being the morning talent, so to speak, and dominating the ratings of Charlotte morning radio for, 25 years. I've just got to get used to not being respected anymore as a performer. I mean, no big deal. No big deal. But when I say that I'm working on getting around that, I mean, I'm gonna be doing extra podcasts and things like that so you can get your material, because I don't want you going out unarmed every day without the knowledge that you need. And I'm just kidding. I don't have any reason to think that the WBT people don't have respect for me. I was just joking, because obviously they do. I mean, I'm the biggest radio name to come through this building in decades. Just so happens I want to be stuck at night just waiting around to do a show after they get through talking about football. Duh. And then be taken off the air for basketball games and basketball coaches shows and stuff, which are going to be happening a lot. But anyway, whatever. No big deal. I don't care. The number is 704-570-1110. Text it or call it. If you're texting, know that it's driven by Liberty Buick GMC. Whew. Okay, let's go. I've been watching this this show on Netflix. It is the Monster series, and that is a documentary series where they feature different serial killers. And I think maybe the last one they did was the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's usually 8 episodes about the life of whatever serial killer. Well, this one that they have now, the new version, is Ed Gein, the story of Ed Gein. And he's kind of, he's probably the most famous serial killer. I think because he started all of it, as far as a fascination from the public. He's from Wisconsin. And the reason I say he's the most famous, even though you may not know the story or the name Ed Gein, is because he and what he did was used in so many movies that have been part of pop culture through the years. The obvious one is the movie Psycho, which I believe the movie Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, started the modern day horror movie that we have now, because it brought the SEX into it. And then let's see, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was modeled after Ed Gein, Leatherface. Then Silence of the Lambs, because he was trying to make a suit, a woman suit out of skin, real skin of women. So there have been all kinds of different things here or there in serial killer characters that came from Ed Gein. Now, I was just reading an article in the New York Post, and it was talking about this phenomenon of Gen Z women thinking that Ed Gein is sexy. Okay, so this happens all the time. It's the bad boy syndrome and all of that. But the psychologists in this story are saying that that a lot of it is TikTok, because TikTok takes these videos of these depraved criminals and puts it out there like they're sexy, you know. For example, there's a scene in this this new Ed Gein series, or maybe there are several scenes, but where he's in this woman's underwear, her stockings, her panties, and her bra, and he's dancing around and all. And the women watching that are not focusing on how creepy it is. They are associating the way that the star, Charlie Hunnam or whatever his name is, he played Sons of Anarchy. All the ladies love him. They think he's great. Well, he's sitting there and standing there dancing around in the underwear, and he's ripped. I mean, he's just completely ripped. He's got the hip flexors and everything. So they're saying that transfers from the actor, the hot actor that's playing the part of the serial killer, onto the real serial killer, where they start having sympathy for the real serial killer. So these young women will go find out all of the story about Ed Gein and what all he did and everything. But after already having their hearts all flitter from the actor that's playing the part, then they start to take that sympathy to the real person. They did that with Ted Bundy. The women lined up outside at the courthouse waiting on him to come to court every day, and they believed him. They didn't think that he was guilty of whatever he said. They believed and all. And that's just human nature, I think. But when they start talking about the serial killer being misunderstood, I think there's another cultural phenomenon with that. I think especially in today's culture, you maybe want to call it TikTok culture if you want, but it is the continuous numbing of the culture to death, and that death is just a thing, and it starts by people. It's not valuing life. Let me put it that way. So young people, so many of them are not taught to value life. So that's how they can look at something, especially women, can look at some guy who's hot, and all of the evidence points to the fact that he is a monster, but because he's hot and it makes their hearts skip a beat and all, oh, well, he was troubled. They come up with these excuses. So, we're taught to devalue life in, at first with abortion. And then, sorry if you're watching the video, all my lights just went out, so I'm having to shine a flashlight on. I'll tell you what, let me take a break and I'll get all of this stuff fixed, and then I'll finish up on this in the next segment, because it's really interesting. This kind of stuff fascinates me. Okay, so we'll get into that coming up next. Hang on. Oh yeah. All right. Here we go. It is the Green-Eyed Patriot, Charlotte's Mr. Charmed and Dangerous, TJ, the realist, Ritchie. Don't forget it. Do not forget it. Okay, we're talking about Ed Gein, this new movie on this new docu-series on Netflix. And if you go, I don't listen to this show for that, I want to hear about politics and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's in there. It's in there. Listen, I'm trying to make a point about the culture and the crazy minds of people. All right, so these young women are, because the actor who plays Ed Gein, the serial killer, grave robber, all of the stuff that he was, schizophrenic, everything, they are thinking that he is hot now. And the reason why is because the actor that portrays him is hot. And then that transfers over to the real Ed Gein, and they start saying, oh, he was so misunderstood and I feel sorry for him and blah, 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 blah. This is why women weren't allowed to vote in the beginning of our country. I'm not saying that I wish it would go back to that. I'm just saying why it was the way it was is because our founders knew that women were much more emotional and that their emotions can change boom, 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 all over the place. So they thought, wait, do we really need emotional women who will fly off in any direction at any time? They're unpredictable, choosing the leaders for our country. And they decided, I didn't, they decided that wasn't the best for our brand new nation. Just saying that's what it was. So I was saying that part of this is because that our young people have been raised to not value life as much, because the left has programmed them so much about abortion. When does life begin? You know, not until the baby can survive outside the mother and blah, 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 blah. And then that goes into, obviously, like New York, abortion on demand, all the way up until, the birth, all of it. So now the left has been pushing these assisted suicide things. In Canada, it's all the rage, assisted suicide. But one of the things that, and because this has always been there, don't get me wrong, women feeling this way about criminals has always been this way. At a certain percentage of women is very, very low. But that percentage is growing. Luigi Mangione, or whatever his name is, that psycho with the giant eyebrows that killed the insurance guy. First thing they started talking about was how hot he is, and he's not. He's crazy looking. If John Madden were still alive, he'd look at that guy's eyebrows and go, "Damn, he's got some eyebrows." But it's also, the more our culture removes itself from faith. Because where do you learn right and wrong and the types of people you should idolize? Not idolize, you shouldn't idolize anybody, but the types of people that you should admire, or the types of people you should want to be around and all that. You learn a lot of that from church or from your parents who learned it from church. And we're not getting that as much anymore. And y'all are going to call me crazy on this, but feel free. I mean, there's nothing any different than any other night. But some of it has to do with the isolation that young people live in now. They can identify with serial killers who lived in isolation themselves. Ed Gein's mom died, and he still lived in the house. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this Netflix series and you don't know anything about Ed Gein, then you may want to turn this down a little bit. It'll spoil some of it for you. But his mom died, and he buried her, and then he dug up another woman, and then he took her home, and then she represented his mother from then on. And her rotting corpse was in the house, and he talked to her, and he hallucinated about her. And so he had to be isolated most of the time. He lived in isolation. So you got all these people, these kids who have grown up, sitting on Facebook, sitting on Instagram, sitting on TikTok, and all these YouTube and everything in their rooms alone. They can identify with that part of a serial killer. Maybe not the killing part, but the isolation part, the withdrawal from society part, which again is a terrible symptom of the disease that our culture suffers from at this time. And we've got to start getting kids, and I know I'm not the first to say this by any means, but we got to start getting kids back to socializing with each other in person, going to church. More people need to get back into church. That's obvious. And this is just, I mean, people write these types of stories just as oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's funny. Oh, crazy women. But it is a sign of the times. Again, if you're yelling at the radio, oh, that's always been the case. I get it. I know there have always been women out there who fall for these kinds of things, but not the number, not in the great number there are now. Stop trying to be a smarty pants know-it-all. Just listen to what I'm saying. Mother, listen to what I'm saying. Have I upset you, Mother? No, Mother, I would never bring a Jezebel in this house. All right. So one of the things I love more than anything is when liberals start trying to out-victimize each other. Like, you don't have it as bad off as I have it, and da-da-da-da. They love doing that. And I have an example for that. And you're going to be shocked, amazed, and amused all at the same time. That's coming up next. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate it. And I hope you know that you are listening to the realest to ever do it. TJ, the realist Ritchie. I didn't make that up. I did make up the green-eyed patriot, but I didn't make up the realist thing. Somebody else called me that, and then I just ran with it. So there you go. Okay. I love it when liberals try to out-victim each other. And that is the case in this clip. You see, there is a big problem now in our society with people who are dangerously overweight, making themselves victims when they're not celebrated. Okay, that's something you can't just, as all the liberals put that bumper sticker on their cars that say coexist. Well, you can't just coexist with these liberals who have been told that they're special because they're in a marginalized group. You have to celebrate them. And you have to just get out of the way and let them do whatever they want to do because they are special. They're marginalized. And one of those things now is fat people. I don't mean just chunk-a-bunks. They're just, have a few pounds to lose here or there. Like I've lost half of what I need to be losing. And I'll tell you about that in just a little bit. But these are people who think that, because they are the way they are, that everybody else should just bow down and give them whatever their hearts desire. Change our businesses to accommodate them because they got themselves fat. Well, there's there's a video of a panel of women sitting up on a stage, and one of the women is telling the rest of them the hierarchy of fat, okay? And the one that seems to be the authority on all of it, to see who's got fat privilege and who doesn't, she has a mullet, she has a nose ring, shocker, not a nose ring, a septum ring, like a bull. And she is quite disturbed in herself. And these women are actually just listening to her like she's the authority. All right, so here we go. Cut 52, go.
I have a question. Can you tell me what category of fat I fit in?
So it's based on your shirt size. So if you are a 1 or 2X, you are small fat. 3 to 4X, you are mid fat. 5 to 6x, you are super fat, is based on what level of privilege you have in the world. So someone in a small fat category may not struggle getting on an airplane, but someone in a mid fat or super fat may not be able to use even the airplane extender. So that's where that comes in, and like the privilege levels of like what fat means to different people.
Okay, so you catch that language? If you're small fat, which means fat, then you are held in a less a smaller esteem, a lower esteem than the super fat, because you are privileged. Mid fat, super fat people have a hard time in life. And they run into situations all the time where nobody's catering to them. The airlines have the gall not to make bigger seats with giant seat belts. Now, if you're just fat, then you can get a seatbelt extender, or the seatbelt they provide you is big enough to go around you. So that's privilege. That's just how you were awarded something, and you need to check your fat privilege at the door. Not the fact that the super fat is having to deal with the results of their not taking care of themselves and eating nonstop. No, they're just fine the way they are. You should be looked down upon. Check your fat privilege at the door. And that's the way they do these kinds of things with all these marginalized groups. Now, some of the marginalized groups, quote unquote, you can't help, well, I take that back, because being black is a marginalized group, according to the left. And they, in the black marginalized group of leftists, they lash out at skin tone. You see, so I have seen arguments on social media between darker skinned black people and lighter skinned black people, where the darker skinned black person is yelling at the lighter skinned black person because they've got it better, and the dark skinned black person is mistreated because of their dark skin, even more than another black person, African American, who is light skinned. So on the left, it's just a constant battle for who can claim the victim status at any time. Who can claim the biggest victim status? And they're programmed that way from the Democrat Party boss leaders. Because if they always get in the minds of people and keep them unhappy, then they can control them. You ever notice how many conservatives just live their lives being left alone, people not bothering them, or that aren't happy? We are the most well-adjusted people that live the most satisfied lifestyles of anybody. All we ask is that the government get out of our way. Leave us alone. Stay out of our business. Other people stay out of our business. The leftists have been programmed to always be, look at me, feel sorry for me, give me things because I am so downtrodden and mistreated. And because when they can't get what they want, who do they go to? They go to the Democrat Party bosses, politicians, and say, go get me what I want. Force them to give me a big seatbelt. Force the airlines, force the dressing rooms in department stores to increase the size so my gargantuan butt can get in there and try on some clothes. Forget what all the other customers need. I am super fat, so I need special treatment. And if they won't give it to me on their own, then the government needs to go and force them to do it. That's the mindset. So when they start going at each other about you don't have it as bad as I have it, you're privileged, you're fat privilege, you're light skin privilege, whatever. It's entertaining to me. I love to see them infighting. I really do. All right. In the last segment, I'm going to break down my thoughts from all of the No Kings rallies over the weekend. So get ready for that. It's next. Hang on. Oh, wow. This show has just flown by. It seems like we just started about 50 minutes ago. And here we are getting to the end of it. Wow. Whew. All right, something huge went on over the weekend. The No Kings rallies all over America. And I got to tell you, this is just a bunch of derelicts. They're derelicts, old hippies still trying to hang on to some type of excitement in their lives, and just morons, and some demons sprinkled in and out. Okay, this is one that everybody's talking about. This is some kind of a professor at a college in Chicago, and he is saying that saying what they say when they get microphones and bullhorns in their hand. Let's be violent. Got 53. Go.
These ICE agents you gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system. These ICE agents gotta get shot and wiped out. The state machinery, that's a full display right there, has to get wiped out. You gotta grab a gun. We gotta turn around the guns on this fascist system.
All right, so get the guns, turn around the guns, shoot these ICE agents and all of that. Okay. Nothing unusual about that. Just a crazy leftist, can't control his emotions, doesn't know how to handle it when things aren't going his way. But these people who are in some sort of authority, like this guy, he's a professor or whatever he is, which is not surprising because these colleges are full of communist idiots. But they're always telling these massive crowds of people to go do something, to incite someone else to act violently. I mean, these are cowards. Not just about, but any leader of a Marxist communist movement is a coward. Because they want to stand up and yell and tell everybody else what to do. But I guarantee you, he wouldn't stand face to face with an ICE agent, one-on-one. He'd get the crap kicked out of him, and he knows it. Nerd. Oh, they can get up and they can grab a distorted microphone or a bullhorn and start yelling at people. Just a coward. Spouting off. Now, here's a lady that was celebrating her birthday out there at one of these rallies. Listen. Cut 57. Go.
So this is your birthday.
Yes.
So you came out on your birthday. You thought it was important. Tell me why.
Absolutely, because I have two little boys who deserve a bright future of freedom and democracy. And this is a nightmare that I'm living in, and I'm here to make a difference and to be loud and proud. And there's no other way I'd want to celebrate my birthday than with my parents and my best friend fighting for our country.
So for a birthday present, what do you hope happens? You wake up tomorrow morning.
I hope that I see the obituary that we're all waiting for tomorrow. That's what I hope for.
You wishing that President Trump is dead?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So tough.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. She should be in jail. Just on suspicion. Hold her for a little while, make her life a living hell. And her old burnt parents standing there pumping fists in the air, and her best friend who has to be a loser as well. Where's her man? Says she got kids. Where's her man? Probably nowhere to be found. And I don't blame him. And then there's this guy. He represents another group of Americans who were at the No Kings rally. This is the exchange he had with a citizen reporter. Got 58? Go.
Trump's a
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. We don't like him. That's the word around here.
Any particular reason why you don't like him?
No clue at all. I'm just going with everybody else saying.
There you go. That's the word around here. Now, this is by no means new. Leftists never have new ideas. They just recycle their old game plans and all. So we have a clip of something straight from this is what it says online here on this X account. Straight from 1943, the directive that shaped decades of political smears, and it's still being used today. The communist playbook exposed. See if this sounds familiar to what's going on today. Listen.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable buildups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
With enough repetition. See, that's the key. Rules for Radicals, the Communist Manifesto. You keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it, and sooner or later it's going to catch on, even if it's an outlandish lie, which everything that comes out of the Communist Party is. Well, hell, everything that comes out of the Democrat Party is, because there's not a whiskers bit of difference between the two. The Democrat Party has become the Communist Party. And if you know somebody that's what would typically be considered just a regular liberal Democrat in Congress or a moderate Democrat, then if they're not fighting against this communist takeover of the party, then they're just as bad. So I put them all in the same basket. Got people out here thinking that it's cool to talk about President Trump dying or Charlie Kirk mocking him, all that. They're sick. All right, that's it. Mark Levin's coming up next. God loves you and ain't nothing you can do about it. See you tomorrow.